There's a secret language men speak without even realizing it, a silent code written in their eyes.
It's the unspoken truth of desire, a glance that reveals everything his words don't. For years,
I've studied human behavior and the psychology of attraction.
and I've discovered that when a man feels deep,
Physical desire for a woman, his gaze doesn't wander randomly. It follows a pattern. 3 very specific points his eyes can't resist. Most women miss these cues, not because they're invisible, but because no one ever taught them how to read this ancient code of male attraction. So before we dive in, I have one question for you. How old are you, and where are you watching from? Have you ever noticed your partner, or that man who makes your heart race, subtly letting his gaze fall on certain parts of you during a conversation? If so, what you're about to hear will make perfect sense. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and tell us in the comments what you've noticed, because once you understand this, you'll never see male body language the same way again. Let's begin with a story. Sofia, a 34-year-old from Mexico City, had been seeing Alejandro, a 38-year-old engineer she met at a work event. They connected instantly. Conversation flowed effortlessly, their laughter filled the room, and every moment felt electric. Yet when things turned intimate, Alejandro seemed distant, polite, even mechanical. Sofia couldn't understand it. Does he even desire me? She often wondered. What she didn't realize was that Alejandro's eyes had already revealed the truth. Every time they spoke, his gaze unconsciously traveled to the same 3 places, clear signals of attraction she never learned to interpret. The first place a man's eyes fall when he desires you sexually might surprise you. It's not your eyes, and it's not your smile either. It's your lips. When a man is truly attracted to you, something ancient and primal awakens in his brain. The amygdala, the emotional center that governs instinctive reactions. It quietly takes control, guiding his gaze toward what it associates with intimacy and closeness. The lips, to the male mind, are not just a facial feature. They are a symbol of passion, connection, and desire. The invitation to something deeper. So when he's drawn to you, his gaze lingers there, not briefly, but with intent. Studying the curve, imagining what it would feel like to kiss you. This doesn't happen when you're talking, but in those quiet pauses when your mouth is relaxed and natural. Carmen, a 29-year-old teacher from Guadalajara, once told me about her date with Miguel, a charming doctor. Throughout dinner, he listened intently, but she wasn't sure if the attraction was mutual, until she noticed something. Every time she stopped talking or took a sip of wine, his eyes instinctively dropped to her lips. Not just a glance, a lingering look, soft but unmistakable. Later that evening, when he kissed her goodbye, she realized that his eyes had been confessing his desire all along.
a man's gaze toward your lips is more than fascination. It's a subconscious preparation for intimacy.
His nervous system switches into readiness. This woman attracts me. Get closer. But here's the key. Not every look at your lips means desire. A fleeting glance lasts less than a second, while an attraction-filled stare lingers for 2 to 4 seconds, often accompanied by parted lips and deeper, slower breathing. His body mirrors what his mind feels. Now let's move to the second place his gaze is drawn to when he desires you. A place many women overlook. Your neck. Specifically the area where your neck meets your shoulders. To the male brain, this region holds a powerful mix of vulnerability and sensuality. Through evolution, the neck has become a symbol of trust, openness, and femininity. When a woman exposes her neck, whether by tilting her head, laughing, or brushing her hair aside, it sends an ancient signal. I'm comfortable.
I'm open.
I trust you. And in response, a man's protective and passionate instincts ignite at once. Isabella, a 32-year-old architect from Monterrey, told me about her dates with Ricardo, a 35-year-old entrepreneur. They enjoyed each other's company, but she couldn't tell if his attraction ran deep. Until one night at a jazz concert, she wore a dress that revealed her neck and shoulder line just slightly. As the music played, she noticed something. Ricardo's eyes barely stayed on the stage.
Again and again, they drifted toward her neck, following the curve from her ear to her shoulder, as though mesmerized.
His gaze was warm, intense, almost hypnotic. Later that night, Ricardo confessed that he couldn't stop thinking about her. And that same evening, he kissed her exactly where his eyes had been drawn all night.
That's no coincidence.
The look at the neck is more than visual admiration, it's an unspoken fantasy. When a man's eyes linger there, his subconscious is imagining the softness of your skin, the warmth of that intimate spot. The neck is one of the most erogenous zones of the female body, and his instinct knows it better than he does. There's another clue. When a man looks at your neck, he often touches his own. He might adjust his collar, rub the back of his neck, or even brush his throat. A subconscious mirroring gesture that signals, I want to touch her there. And timing matters. The gaze toward your neck usually appears in two key moments: when you laugh and when you turn your head. Laughter naturally elongates your neck, revealing its curve. If he's attracted to you, his eyes will automatically move there. And when you turn your head to listen or glance away, the line of your neck becomes visible again, drawing his focus like a magnet. Maria Jose, a 28-year-old journalist from Puebla, once shared a perfect example. During a business dinner, she noticed Daniel, a photographer she admired, sitting across the table. Their conversations had always been friendly, nothing more. But that evening, when she turned to thank the waiter, her neck was briefly exposed. When she looked back, Daniel's gaze was fixed, intense, unmoving, almost reverent. She felt a chill run down her spine. Later that night, he asked her out, and on their first date, he kissed her exactly in that same spot. That's the silent truth of male desire. It's written in the eyes long before it's spoken. These glances aren't random or meaningless. They're a window into instinct, emotion, and connection. The man who looks at your lips is drawn by passion. The one who can't look away from your neck is caught between tenderness and temptation. Most women never learn to decode these messages, yet they're there. Silent, primal, and powerful. So next time you're with someone and his eyes seem to wander, pay attention. Watch not just where he looks, but how long he looks. His gaze will always reveal what his words try to hide. The unspoken truth of his desire. There's a world of difference between a passing glance and a gaze filled with genuine desire. One is soft, fleeting, almost polite, the kind of look that appreciates beauty without crossing boundaries. But the other, the look of true sexual longing, is far more intense, deliberate, and lingers just a moment too long. You'll see it in his eyes, in the way his breath deepens, in the subtle wetting of his lips, and in how his body unconsciously leans toward you, as if drawn by an invisible force. And then comes the most primal of all signs, where his gaze finally rests when he truly desires you.
Not on your face, not on your lips, but lower, on the curve of your waist and the line of your hips.
This might sound bold, even uncomfortable, but it's not about objectification or modern beauty ideals.
It's ancient.
For millions of years, the male brain has been wired to recognize signals of fertility and health, and the waist-to-hip ratio is one of the oldest indicators of both. It's not about what society calls sexy. It's about biology, a silent code etched deep into human DNA. When a man desires a woman, his eyes instinctively trace that curve, not in disrespect, but in admiration, in longing. Take Valeria, a 30-year-old accountant from Tijuana. She'd just started seeing Sebastian, a 33-year-old lawyer she met at the gym. She always noticed how he seemed mesmerized whenever she walked by, but never quite understood why. It all became clear one breezy afternoon at the beach. Her light dress danced with the wind, perfectly outlining her waist and hips. Sebastian's gaze followed almost unconsciously, filled with admiration rather than lust. Later, he admitted that from the first day they met, he couldn't stop imagining what it would feel like to hold her close. That gaze, primal yet respectful, said more than any words ever could. It's not constant either. This look tends to surface in fleeting moments, when you walk across a room, stand up, or the movement of your hips naturally catches his attention. And if you observe closely, his body will respond too. His posture shifts. He straightens his back, puffs his chest slightly, maybe adjusts his shirt or touches his neck. It's instinct, his subconscious signaling strength and attraction, trying to impress without even realizing it. Christina, a 27-year-old vet from Merida, noticed this exact behavior at a friend's party. Andres, an engineer she'd been chatting with, seemed completely composed until she stood up. Each time she walked away or returned, she felt his gaze follow her hips. And every single time she came back, he straightened his posture, adjusted his sleeves, as if his body was preparing for her presence. When they finally danced later that night, and his hand rested on her waist, the energy between them said everything his words hadn't yet confessed. When a man truly desires you, his gaze doesn't wander aimlessly. It follows a pattern, one that reveals his emotional and physical longing. First, his eyes meet yours. That's the connection, the recognition. Then they shift to your lips in where imagination begins. Next, to your neck, the space between intimacy and tenderness. And finally, to your waist and hips, the oldest symbol of attraction known to humankind. It's never about one single look. It's about a sequence, a rhythm that tells a deeper story. And here's what's powerful. Once a woman understands this pattern, she no longer has to guess. She knows. She sees what he feels before he says it. Alejandra, a 31-year-old graphic designer from Guadalajara, experienced this revelation firsthand. She'd been seeing Fernando, a 34-year-old architect, for months. He was kind, charming, attentive, but she couldn't tell if there was real desire. Then, after learning about these signals, she began to watch more closely. She noticed how his gaze lingered on her lips when she spoke, on her neck when she laughed, and on her waist when she walked away. That clarity gave her confidence. She decided to express her feelings openly. And when she did, Fernando confessed he'd been holding back for fear of scaring her away. The chemistry they both felt finally surfaced, honest and undeniable. Men, unlike women, are primarily visual creatures. Their desire often begins with what they see. Women, on the other hand, tend to experience attraction through emotional and intellectual connection first. That doesn't make men shallow, it's simply nature's design. Each of these 3 points, eyes, lips, hips, triggers something specific in the male brain. When he looks into your eyes, dopamine begins to stir, the spark of interest. When his gaze drops to your lips, his brain activates centers of intimacy and anticipation. And when it traces the curve of your waist and hips, his most primal instincts awaken, connecting attraction with deep biological recognition. But here's what separates real desire from fleeting lust: context. Even men who are genuinely in love will show these signals because desire and love aren't opposites. They're 2 sides of the same coin. The difference lies in what follows those signals. A man driven only by lust will focus on the physical and fade once the thrill passes. A man who truly values you will combine that same physical attraction with genuine emotional investment, asking about your dreams, remembering small details, and imagining a shared future. Elena, a 35-year-old doctor from Monterrey, learned this truth firsthand. She was dating 2 men, Roberto and Patricio. Both showed the same visual cues of attraction, but only Patricio paired them with curiosity about her heart, her goals, her soul. Roberto wanted excitement. Patricio wanted her. 2 years later, Patricio became her husband. The truth is simple but profound. Sexual desire isn't the enemy of love, it's its foundation. When a man truly desires you, he's not just reacting to your body, he's responding to something deeper, something ancient. The connection between your presence, your movement, your essence, it all awakens a force older than words. And when love and desire meet in that space, it's no longer just attraction, it's chemistry, destiny, and truth. The visual signals we've discussed don't mean he sees you as an object. They reveal that his primal brain is simply responding to your presence, something natural and deeply human when mutual attraction exists. But remember, these signals are shaped by culture and context. In more traditional environments, they appear subtle, almost hidden beneath layers of restraint. In freer, more open cultures, they tend to be bolder, easier to recognize. It's also crucial to distinguish between genuine attraction and polite observation. Not every look carries desire. Sometimes it's just social courtesy, cool, analytical, detached. The difference lies in the depth of the gaze. A look filled with real sexual attraction has something magnetic, almost uncontrollable about it, while a polite one is quick, deliberate, and emotionless. Here's where things get fascinating. When a woman recognizes these signals and subtly reciprocates, a silent dialogue of desire begins. If he glances at your lips and you moisten them slightly, you signal openness. If his gaze lingers on your neck and you brush your hair aside, you invite connection without a single word. But awareness doesn't demand action. Knowledge empowers you. It doesn't obligate you. You can choose whether or not to respond. It's about confidence, not compliance. Carmen, a 33-year-old lawyer from Mexico City, learned this balance well. She worked closely with Javier, a 36-year-old consultant, on a major project. Even during formal meetings, she noticed his lingering looks, his eyes drifting from her lips to her neckline, then to her silhouette. She recognized the signals but chose to stay professional, respecting boundaries. When the project ended, Javier finally asked her out and admitted he'd been drawn to her from day one but didn't want to cross a line. Carmen smiled and confessed she'd noticed too. That honesty became the foundation of a relationship built on respect and mutual desire. This is the true beauty of understanding attraction. It frees women from uncertainty, from the endless late-night overthinking, decoding texts, or guessing his intentions. Instead, you have clarity. You know what he feels, and that clarity gives you choice. Over time, these signals evolve. At the start, they're vivid and frequent, fueled by curiosity and excitement. Later, as connection deepens, they grow softer, more personal. His gaze becomes uniquely yours, a private language only you both understand. And when attraction flows both ways, something even more intriguing happens: visual synchronization. You'll catch yourself mirroring him without realizing it. Your eyes linger on his lips when you imagine kissing him, on his neck when you feel drawn closer, on his arms or chest when you admire his strength. This silent symmetry is one of the clearest signs of mutual attraction, a shared rhythm of desire unspoken but deeply felt. Still, every man expresses these signals differently. The core points, eyes to lips, neck, and hips, are universal, but personality and experience shape how they appear. Confident men hold their gaze longer, steady and sure. Shy men look quickly, almost afraid to be caught, their attraction hidden in brief flashes. Experienced men sometimes try to control their signals, masking them behind calm composure, but primal instincts always find a way through. Context plays its role too. In social settings, his signals may soften, masked by conversation and distraction. Alone, they sharpen, longer, bolder, harder to hide. Lucia, a 29-year-old engineer from Puebla, understood this perfectly. She often saw Diego, a 32-year-old architect, in the office cafeteria or elevator. He was always polite, professional, giving nothing away. But one Friday evening, as they rode the elevator alone after work, everything changed. In that quiet moment, she noticed it all. His eyes on her lips as she smiled, the subtle glance at her neck when she adjusted her blouse, and the way his gaze traced her silhouette when she turned. Her intuition confirmed what she'd suspected for months. She broke the silence with a simple, "Coffee after work?" He agreed instantly, later admitting he'd been drawn to her for a long time, but had held back out of respect. These signals tell you more than just that he's attracted. They reveal how deeply. Frequency, intensity, and duration are your clues. Quick, infrequent glances suggest curiosity. Longer, repeated looks filled with warmth and tension signal stronger desire. And when he adds other gestures, finding reasons to be near you, brushing against you accidentally, fidgeting or straightening his clothes when you appear, it's not just lust, it's emotional interest wrapped in attraction. Over time, as comfort grows, these looks become subtler. They don't vanish, they evolve. In long-term relationships, they often reawaken after time apart, during special occasions, or when you remind him of the first days he fell for you. But here's something most people miss. These signals don't just show attraction, they hint at compatibility. A man who shows them consistently and respectfully, who looks at you with admiration instead of entitlement, often proves to be more attentive and passionate in love. Because for him, these looks aren't random, they're acknowledgement. They say, "I see you," not just your body, but your essence. And when desire and respect meet, that's where real chemistry is born. Understanding these signals gives you more than romantic advantage. It offers emotional freedom. You stop guessing and start observing. You see patterns instead of confusion, truth instead of mixed messages. And with that, you gain control, not over him, but over how you interpret connection. Sexual desire isn't shallow, and it doesn't contradict love. It's a vital thread that weaves passion, intimacy, and bonding together. So next time you're with someone who intrigues you, watch quietly. Notice how his eyes linger when you pause speaking, how they trace your neck when you laugh, how his posture shifts when you stand or walk away. These small cues carry powerful truths. They're not commands, they're clues. Use them wisely. Respond if you want to, or simply observe and learn. The real power isn't in being desired, it's in understanding desire. Because when you master that, you attract not just attention, but genuine connection, the kind that lasts, grows, and fulfills both the heart and the soul.